Welcome to HealthTech Talk. This is where business, healthcare, and technology collide. Our host, Ben Chodor, interviews healthcare innovators and industry titans who are striving to make the world healthier with bleeding-edge human ingenuity. You'll hear it all on HealthTech Talk. Now, here's your host, Ben Chodor.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ben Chodor, and you're listening to HealthTech Talk, broadcasting from 640 WGST and the iHeartRadio network, and streaming worldwide on iHeart as well. All right, I have what I think is a really cool show. It might be my favorite show up to now, and I haven't even introduced a guest. I have two polar type opposite companies. My first guest is a startup that's going to revolutionize healthcare. I think it's going to revolutionize healthcare. And my second guest is one of the largest companies in the world, Qualcomm, which we're going to get into in the second and third segments. But right now, I want to introduce you to the two founders of MedWand. MedWand Solutions is the name of the company. It's Robert Rose. He is Robert Rose, and also Sam Qamar. They are the two founders of MedWand. All right, first, I got to tell you what's really cool about these guys before I bring them on. One is, this is what happens. Robert is an engineer, a technologist, started companies, done amazing things. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself and his company. So think of an engineer, technologist, and Sam is a doc, right? So this is what happens when you take really smart engineers, technologists, and really smart scientists and combine them together. What you get is a product that every mom, every doctor, everyone in healthcare is going to want to use. I'm really excited about introducing them. Also, they're in the middle of their Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, so go check it out. Or go to www.medwand.com and check it out while you're listening to the show. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. This is Sam Qamar with MedWand. Thank you, Ben, for having us on the show. It's a pleasure.
Great.
Hi, Ben. This is Bob Rose, and I am equally just thrilled to be here with you.
All right, so I want you guys to tell my audience in your own words. First, where did the idea come from? And then after you tell everyone what the idea is, tell them what the product is. I didn't want to give it away and say what the product is. I want to hear it from the founders' mouths, but just tell them how this all came together.
Well, Sam's got to take that one. It's a great story.
Well, so I'm a physician, a board-certified family physician, and many years ago when I was still in residency training, I was convinced that the current healthcare model was going to fail because it was based on a fee-for-service system. Way back in the early 2000s, I started looking at different models of healthcare. Concierge medicine at that time was becoming popular, so I ended up becoming the house doctor for the Pebble Beach resorts. Did that for many years, and while I was in that capacity, started a direct primary care company called MedLion, which operates on a similar subscription-based format for primary care. And that company, MedLion now, which I am the CEO of, is currently in 25 states and growing rapidly.
Great.
But one thing we realized, both at MedLion and during my tenure as the Pebble Beach house doctor, were the number of visits that were absolutely unnecessary. The number of visits that were unnecessary because we could practice telemedicine. Now, telemedicine is something that is not entirely new. Any doctor that has taken call by telephone is, in a sense, practicing telemedicine. We ended up doing that a lot. Fast forward to last year when Google Helpouts called MedLion to do a pilot project for video conferencing. And so they asked us at MedLion if we would be willing to do that. We said yes, and basically it involved video conferencing with our doctors online, and we could sort of see our patients, but again, couldn't examine them. That was something that always vexed me as a doctor, that I couldn't examine my patients. I always felt that data was critical to be able to assess the patient fully. And I felt that a lot of the technology these days was moving towards video-based conferencing and not really focusing so much on the technology aspect for examinations. My sister in Chicago last year was not feeling too well. She had a cough that wouldn't go away, so she called her her brother up for some free medical advice, and I wanted to get her history, which is something you do commonly, but I also wanted to examine her. I really would give anything to listen to her lungs. Couldn't do it. So we amped up the microphone on her smartphone, and she pressed it up against her chest and her back and took a few deep breaths, and I could make some sounds out that I wanted to hear or not hear, and it wasn't really a great tool. Putting all this together, I felt that technology had advanced so much, sensors had advanced so much. Why wasn't it that we weren't able to have created yet a device that would allow us to remotely examine patients? And I sort of kept thinking about that for quite some time. Ended up meeting Bob in Las Vegas, having a casual conversation about this type of frustration, and Bob's response was, well, did you know that I own a very nice engineering firm with world-class engineers that would love to take this on as a project? And that's how this device came to be. And Bob, of course, brought the fantastic engineers and created a device that allows us as providers to examine a patient online securely no matter where they are. We can listen to their lungs, listen to their heart, look into their ears, nose, throat, get basic vitals, do a lot of the things that we would do in a face-to-face visit, but now we can do online in telemedicine appointments. So that device is now called MedWand.
So, Sam, you're telling me, so like my wife, when my kids were little, was the ultimate worrier. If her physician and our physician was tied into this, she could take the MedWand, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't have to run to the ER without knowing. Not that I might not have to. I might still have to go to the ER, but at least my physician or a physician will be able to say, hey, don't worry, or you should worry.
Absolutely. So telemedicine in the way it's practiced now has great limitations because of the lack of examination. And if your good doctor were to respond at 1 o'clock in the morning and get a history from your good wife about your child, there is that limitation that exists, because the doctor may get a great history, but if he or she doesn't feel comfortable with a complete assessment that would keep your child safe, that doctor would advise you to go to the ER in the middle of the night. Now imagine if that doctor were to examine your child, if he were to be able to listen to lungs and the heart and get basic vitals. Yes, absolutely helps. Now, it's not a 100% substitute for physician visitation, but it does, I believe, take care of a lot of the issues that you would typically not have in a typical telemedicine consultation today. Our MedLion's president was flying to Las Vegas for a meeting last week. He was sitting on the plane next to a father, and he just shared the concept with him. And that father said, you know, we would love to purchase something like this. My son has asthma, and we don't know if it's critical or not at times. And many times we've gone to the ER not knowing whether or not we should be going. And as parents, they are concerned. They would take their child to the ER. The ER would say, you know, your child's actually doing okay. You can take him back home now. And they're now running a $5,000 bill. Right. Wouldn't it have been nice, he said, if we could have had a doctor or a provider listen to our child's lungs while at home, getting a pulse ox, getting the vitals, and telling us, you know, the wheezing is minimized, the pulse ox is up at 96%, give them some of your home nebulizers that you have. You don't have to go to the ER right now.
Hey, Doc, I got to interrupt you for a second, because I have to take a word from our sponsors. I want to remind our audience, you're listening to the founders of MedWand, and you're listening to HealthTech Talk, and we'll be back after these messages.
I'm Lex Friedman. I run my own business, so I know from experience, hiring new employees can be tough. Posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites. And now you can with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post your job to 50-plus job sites, including social networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. And with ZipRecruiter's premium traffic boost, you can get up to 3 times more candidates. Quickly screen applicants, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 200,000 businesses. Right now, our listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. Plus, get 30% off your first traffic boost by going to ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. One more time. To try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio.
Hey, it's Kim with Superior Chevrolet. Do you know why customers from all over Atlanta, even as far out as Buford, come to Superior Chevrolet for their truck? It's because of our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection, which, by the way, no other dealer can offer. And it's no charge. Let me say that again. We're the only dealer to offer exclusive lifetime powertrain protection at no charge, which is a pretty good reason to stop in.
Superior Chevrolet.
Your dealership for life.
This is a special notice to consumers who owe back taxes to the IRS. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing during the decline in the U.S. economy, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. In some cases, this may even result in back taxes being reduced. An open phone line has been established by National Tax Relief for consumers to call and see if they qualify. To ensure your financial stability during this decline in the economy, take down this number, 800-832-9615. That's 800-832-9615. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and can't afford to pay them back, there's no need to fear anymore. You may qualify for a program that could settle your delinquent tax problems and in some cases save you money. For your free information and to see if you qualify, call National Tax Relief at 800-832-9615. That's 800-832-9615. 800-832-9615.
Something valuable may be vanishing from your home. Energy. Old appliances or drafty windows could be wasting energy and money right before your eyes. But Georgia Power can help. We have tools and resources, like free online energy checkups to help you use energy more efficiently. And we offer energy efficiency programs like lighting and appliance rebates that can help reduce your bill. Learn more ways to save money and energy at georgiapower.com/save.
It's back, and it's bigger than ever. It's Steel Dealer Days. The best time of the year to find great values on steel equipment. Steel trimmers start at just $129.95. Blowers start at just $149.95. And steel chainsaws start at just $179.95. Head to your local steel dealer now for the big event.
Steel Dealer Days.
Visit SteelDealers.com to find a dealer near you. Available at participating dealers. All prices MSRP.
Hi, folks. Alan Thicke here. For some time now, I've been offering tips about how to deal with the IRS if you've fallen behind on your taxes. Telling you to call Optima Tax Relief because they're the best trained, most trustworthy, blah, blah, and blah. By now, the message is so familiar, you may not be listening. Oh, it's him again. Well, here's the important message. Call Optima Tax Relief. They can help you resolve your IRS issues. The government, can garnish your wages. They can levy your bank account, even take your home or business. To be fair, the IRS also has a new program called the Fresh Start Initiative to help you with that debt. So we've given you clever slogans. Don't mess with the IRS. They'd rather settle for less than bother you more. Now the clever thing for you to do is call Optima Tax Relief now for your free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Health Tech Talk, broadcasting from iHeartRadio Studios, 640 WGST, and streaming worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. We've been having a great first segment with the founders of MedWand. MedWand is this incredible tool, a product that allows you to actually interact with the patient and the physician and get a lot of vital signs that every mom, every dad would love to have. Before we cut to a break, Dr. Sam was telling us about the product and how it works and giving us an anecdote on someone that a president of one of the companies he's with met on the plane. Sam, I'd love you to wrap that up and then describe to my audience really what the product looks like, because I've seen the product. It's small. I don't want the audience to think that they're getting a suitcase.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and give you a 30,000-foot view, and I'll ask the engineer behind the project to talk a little bit about the specifics of the product itself. But the product was envisioned to be a simple, very easy to use, portable device that was relatively affordable. I know that's saying a mouthful, but I didn't want patients to have to carry around 6 different diagnostic tools. I know that's the case these days with many telemedicine companies that engage in some kind of remote monitoring or examination. MedWand was supposed to combine everything into a compact unit about the size of an electric toothbrush with just 1 or 2 buttons. They could literally put in your pocket or in your purse and take with you wherever you go, and then plug in to your computer, to any computer, and then get access to telemedicine providers that way. I will let Bob kindly speak a little bit more about the engineering feats behind putting all of these cool devices into one.
Okay. Well, Ben, it's a very cool device for sure as far as the way it looks is concerned. It looks a little bit like a cross between a Sabre jet and a Starship Enterprise.
Okay.
And actually the design was influenced a little bit by the Sabre jet and then the F4
Cool.
fuselage, believe it or not. It has on the bottom a small disc, which is the stethoscope, which is just like the stethoscope that your doctor would have around his neck, except for that it's attached to the main body of the unit. On the top is a pulse oximeter you slide your finger into, and just like a pulse oximeter that you would buy at the local pharmacy. And on the front is a very powerful camera, and with the ability to take different speculum, different types of tips, so that the doctor can look in your eyes, your ears, your nose, your throat, and as you change those tips for safety and also for interchangeability with different patients. The thermometer, which is an in-ear thermometer, infrared, is also on the tip of the unit. So that's essentially how it looks. It all fits in the palm of your hand. All the sensors are unified through a single processor, and that's all combined with a digital data stream from the video camera, which goes down a USB pipe to your to really any computer. We have configurations where we have custom built. Well, we've actually partnered with Dell to provide tablets and all-in-ones for an office clinic. We also have a ruggedized global clinic so that MedWand can be used literally anywhere in the world. The global clinic has a sat phone connection built in, and if you're on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro or in the deepest jungle somewhere, you can fire up your MedWand and reach a doctor in Los Angeles or anywhere else. So everything in our design concept was to unify this. Also, the MedWand can ingest Bluetooth from other devices. So we have partner devices that glucometer, blood pressure cuff, body mass scale. There's so much out there today that is capable of ingesting vital signs, but then not doing very much with it. The democratization of vital signs through watches and all types of wearables, but that doesn't enable the doctor to examine you. All it does is accumulate data. Our approach, which is different than anybody else's, that is anything like this, and frankly there isn't anything like this, is to enable the doctor to examine the patient real time. And the entire design approach was
this is super cool. I want to remind our audience listening, go check it out at www.medwand.com or go to Indiegogo and check it out as well. There's a great video on both places. You'll actually even get to see what the product looks like. This is so the time, I think it's the perfect storm. One of the things you and I talked about, the three of us talked about earlier before we were on air, was that the industry, this whole digital health, mobile health industry, has been an industry up until this point of basically taking your temperature. It collects data, but it's not actually used for actually medical, and it's not used for health. So my question to you guys, why is it the perfect storm now? And then also, if you could segue into that and tell me, so the physician on the other side, what are they looking at? What are they seeing when I'm using the product and checking in?
So I'll take the first part. I will let Bob answer the second. I'm a big fan, Ben, of patients getting their own data, whether it's electronic medical records, whether it's just the availability of biodata. I think that is very important for patients to feel empowered and, quite frankly, having some accountability in their own health. Where I believe the challenge is the interpretation of that data. There are a lot of cool devices out there that do a lot of cool things, but it's the interpretation that I think is the chasm that we have to cross from a medical standpoint. I think it was yesterday or the day before, one of the largest lab companies in the U.S. Is now allowing patients to circumvent doctors' orders to get their own blood tests. I think that's great. However, how will those tests be interpreted in the various ways that a provider might be able to would be the main question for me. In the same fashion, when you have all these devices and wearables on the market right now that do a lot of really neat things, my concern is not really a concern. It's more of a putting sort of the cart before the horse. We have to get it to a point where actual clinical impact can be gained from getting that data.
Right.
It's very common to have isolated silos of the apps on the iPhone and the Fitbit and the Jawbone and so forth. But in the same manner, we have a problem with EMR systems in this country not being able to talk to each other. We are now similarly creating silos in the wearables market, where Fitbit will have its own thing, and Apple's going to have its own thing, and so forth. And so I think that's where part of the problem is. We need something that puts all this together. And until you have that, you're not going to be able to get the massive data, I believe, that's going to end up coming in. It's just not going to have that collaboration. I know there are massive efforts underway to get that done, but until that's done, that is a problem that I think we're going to face, is how to use that data for clinical gain.
I agree 100%.
I think we're solving some of that. I think we're solving some of that with MedWand. The interface, when the patient plugs it in, you're going to see all the available sensors, whether they're on the MedWand itself or there's a Bluetooth device present. And the doctor sees the same thing at the other end of the pipe. So the doctor's able to select, let's say, the stethoscope and can tell the patient through the video feed, please place this on your heart. And remember, there's a camera there. So, oh, no, move it a little to your left. There you go. Now I've got a good signal. And he can see that real time. So can the patient. He or she can decide to record that or not, and then go to the next sensor. Hey, let me look into your ear. Let's turn on the camera. And all of that is happening real time at both the terminal where the patient is and at the other end at the doctor as well. Another interesting piece of this is this could replace all those devices in the doctor's office. He could carry it around in his pocket and have it by telemetry hooked into the local PMR as well. So there's other verticals that we can go after with this product.
So it's medical. So Bob, it's medical grade, right? This isn't a toy, right? This isn't just for the consumer. This is a medical instrument.
Yeah, it will be by the time we start shipping later this year. FDA approved. And we're in the middle of that process now with no perceived stumbling blocks at all. And it's also being manufactured here in the U.S. By one of the top 5 EMS companies in the world at an FDA-approved manufacturing facility. So we're scalable. We have the quality built in, and we have all the local engineering and sustaining engineering that we need to continue to develop and enhance the product over time.
So Dr. Qamar, I got a question for you. So do you think doctors will embrace this? I think they will, but I'm not a physician. Do you think they will?
That's a great question, Ben. I think whenever you introduce anything very new, whether it's technological or from a service standpoint, you really have to get past a certain mindset. The status quo likes doing what it does because even though it doesn't make any sense, it works for them. They've learned how to get around the nuances. I think there's going to be a slight challenge in getting doctors and other providers to use it. But once they do, they're not going to be able to go back. As a resident taking call in the hospital when we would have to call our patients away from the hospital, what I would give to be able to listen to our patients' lungs remotely as opposed to making a guess over the telephone, which is what is done now. So it's interesting because the inquiries we've received on the MedWand, interestingly enough, have been from telemedicine companies predominantly, and those in the healthcare space. I think a lot of those folks recognize the absence of such a device. And I believe that once it's used, no one's going to be able to go back. So there is going to be that challenge, which we're ready to face head-on with a lot of education and testing and so forth. But when it's actually used, I think it's going to be very comforting to physicians to use this.
Okay, Bob, I got...
Every mom... Oh, go ahead, Ben.
No, I was going to say, I have 15 seconds with you guys left before the segment's over. Tell my audience where they can get the product and when they can get the product.
Well, you can order right now on Indiegogo.com. Go to technology or just search for MedWand, and you can pre-order yours now. Get first in line, and we've got some really cool special deals up there as well. T-shirts and totes and good pricing. So,
gentlemen, thank you so much, and we have to take these words from our sponsors.
Talk Radio 640 WGST.
Buying a car can be the worst.